Hi, welcome to Receiving ECAP Payments. This is a webinar about completing your A19 and submitting the monthly report in ELMS. I'm Kelsey Schaefer, Program Planning and Operations Specialist here at Dell, and I'm joined by my colleague, Will Friddle.
Hi, I'm Will Friddle. I'm a data coordinator for the ECAP data team, and we work with as part of the ELMS team.
Yeah, so thanks for helping me out today, Will. I really appreciate it. Okay, so what we would like to talk about today, here is our overview. So we'll talk about what is the A19, where can I find it, how to fill it out, who to send it to, and then submitting your monthly report in ELMS. So the first question is, what is the A19? The A19 is a document that contractors submit to Dell to receive payment for ECAP service. And it looks like this. And so something that you will notice this year that's a little different than years past is that you're going to have two tabs on your A19. You're going to have one that says FY16 and one that says FY17. You just want to make sure that you're using the A19 that says FY17. And where can contractors find the 2017 A19? The A19 is one of the documents that contractors receive with their contract for the year, and it is sent as an attachment with your contract package. And so another question that's really important to think about is, when is the A19 due? And your A19 is due on the 15th of the month after services are provided. So for example, if you are looking to submit your July A19, it would be due August 15th. And in order for A19s to be processed, contractors must also fill out their monthly report in ELMS. And that monthly report is also due on the 15th of the month after services were provided. And so now I'm just going to walk you through the sections that you'll need to fill out in order to receive your ECAP payment. And so the first thing that you want to do is fill out the month of service. So something important to keep in mind is that you can only fill out the peach section because the rest of the sections are locked. Let's go back here. So you want to start off by filling out the month of service. So that would be July. And this would be, because it's the first month that you're submitting payment for the year, this will be invoice number 1. Your billed quantity amounts will be right here. And if your unit says monthly, you want to make sure that you're inputting 1 here. If your unit says slots, you want to make sure that you're inputting the number of slots that you have available for your contract. And then you have to sign, date, and fill out the position title of the person filling out the form. And then you can submit it 2 ways. You can either email it to dell.fiscal@dell.wa.gov, or you can send it in the mail to the Department of Early Learning, P.O. Box 40970, Olympia, Washington, 98504. And so now what I'd like to do is I'd like to actually take you through a live version of filling out your A19 so you can see how all of the numbers move around whenever you're filling them out. So I'm going to go to the sample version that I created. And so we're going to look at, I'm just going to point out some features of your A19. And so up here, this would be your contract number, and then your contract service period. So for this year, it would be July 1st, 2015 to July 10th, 2017. Your contract title is ECAP, and then the person that is your Dell contact will be your assigned pre-K specialist. And so the first thing that I want to do is I want to go in and fill out the month of service, which was July. And then it was invoice number, this gets a little tricky, invoice number 1. And is this your final billing for the year? No, it's not your final billing. The only time you would mark final billing is in June. So you want to go ahead and just put an X in no. And then you want to come over here and notice that your unit amount says monthly. So you'll input a 1 right here. And then that will roll up and autofill your invoice amount over here. So say you decided that you didn't see that it said monthly in your unit column, and you put in 250. going to give you a much larger amount than your allotted budget amount for the month, and you would probably either receive a call from me or your assigned pre-K specialist asking you to send in the corrected version of your A19. And also note that this is where you're going to look for your FY17 A19. And so that is all I have for you at this point for filling out your A19. Oh, and make sure that you sign it up here. And that can just be in ink, or if you have an electronic signature, you can also insert it in there. And then make sure that you also put the title of the person filling out the form. So that's all I have for you today on filling out your A19 and receiving your voucher payment. Next, we'll be talking to my colleague, Wilfredo, about ELMS and his data support. So thank you so much.
All right, so for this part, we're going to jump over to ELMS. Now, for your monthly report, you're going to start out by going to the monthly report tab over here. Now, the first page you're going to see is the Dell page. Now, we're in here as a Dell admin, so we see the whole contractor, or for we see all the contractors for the whole state. You're just going to see your contractor. So what you're going to do is you want to click the Edit button to open that up. And the first page you'll open up to is your contractor page. However, the first place when somebody's actually submitting their report, they need to start from the class and work their way up. So we're going to jump to the class. You can see it lists the Dell contractor site and class levels up here. You can get over to the site we're using for our demonstration. And one thing to clarify is that this is all scrambled data from a test version of ELMS. So it shares a name with a real place, but this is all scrambled kids and staff. Now on the site page, the first thing you want to check each month is make sure you're doing the right month. Right now we're just using September. And then step one is you confirm the number of classes in session. Now ELMS will throw an estimate here based on the schedule that you've entered and how many weeks or whatnot. It doesn't understand holidays. It doesn't understand conference days. It doesn't really know any of that special stuff that can modify what your number of class sessions will have been. So you need to come in here and manually enter whatever the actual number of class sessions was. For example, here we'll just pretend ELMS had it right and put a 6. Then below that, you'll see the information for all the kids who were in class during that month with the expected start date, the actual start date, the exit date, the number of parent-teacher conference minutes, the number of family support visits, who their family support staff is, and then some links if you wanted to do some other ELMS activities like view updates or their enrollment history or exit them. Now, the first thing you need to make sure is right is if any children who were starting that month are going to need to have their actual start date entered. So we need to enter those in here. Now, if any of them were missing this date and we tried to submit it, it would throw an error at you and it would want you to either enter the date or potentially you'd want to remove the child from the list. So for example, if let's say Kyler, they were expected to start on the 20th, but they never actually started in September. In that case, what we would do is we would go in here and change their expected start and put that into the next month. And that way, maybe from them until October. The other thing is that none of the children have exited in this case, but if a child had exited during the month, we go through that exit process and make sure that exit date was posting correctly here. And then the final step, the first two fields here regarding ECAP children, ELMS populates automatically based on the enrollment information that's entered into ELMS. So if the ECAP only children appears to be wrong, we're going to need to fix that by either exiting a child, enrolling a child, transferring a child, or doing whatever in ELMS will cause it to have the right number of kids in the class. However, for the 4 lower groups, for the number of non-ECAP children, those ones you just enter manually. So for example here, we'll just say there's no non-ECAP children. And at this point, this class report should be ready to submit. Now you could just submit it once it's ready, but to be safe, it's generally a better idea to put the save, and then we're going to submit it to our site supervisor. So now we're going to jump up to the site level. the site level is a bit simpler. Step 1 is you see your correct teachers who worked at the site during that month. If anything seems wrong, if there's somebody on here who left and wasn't actually there this month, then you'd want to click this change and go into the areas of ELMS where you manage your staff, and you'd want to fix those teachers. Similarly, if there was a teacher missing who you expected to see there because they started that month and they were working that month, then you'd want to go over into ELMS and make sure to get those teaching assignments configured correctly. And then once it's all right, you want to confirm the teachers who were there that month. And then step 2, you just review the class. So here you can see the class that we worked on a minute ago, the date that one was completed, the person who completed it, and then there's some options there to view it, edit it, or unlock it. Now the reason you'd unlock it would be if there was something that needed to be fixed on it. You'd need to unlock it first, and then you'd be able to go back and edit it. But this one looks ready now, so we're going to go ahead and submit it to the contractor. And now we'll jump up to the contractor level. Now, on the contractor stage, to ensure it's the right one, then step 1, you're going to check off the activities that occurred in that month. So for September, we're just going to say that there was some recruitment enrollment, health advisory council met, some staff hiring, parent policy council met, and preschool classes were in session. And then we can review step 2, which is similar to the class report, the site report, we review the class. On the contractor report, you can review the site, make sure this all looks correct. If there's anything wrong, once again, you have the option to unlock it. You both go back and edit it. And then finally, on step 3, the questions in step vary a little bit from month to month. Right now, we're showing a September where it asks you about the what federal match was happening. So we'll just say that there was some federal match. We'll say it was Head Start for $15,000. We just enter the number. We don't need to enter a dollar sign or anything like that. And then the final step is for the new relationship-based professional development meetings. These are new to ECAP this year, and so if you send a representative, you can choose a name here for which staff member went, what day the meeting happened on. Now, if there was no meeting or you did not send somebody, then you can just leave this area blank. One thing we've seen a couple times, and we'll work on the instructions to make it a little more clear, some people have said that they sent other, and then the person's name was nobody or nobody attended. And if nobody attended, just leave it blank. There's no need to enter in some other description. And once again, we'll save it and submit it to Dell. And at that point, your monthly report is done. Now, one different situation we want to look at is, so that describes a month where classes were in August. You won't have classes in session. To see only the contractor level, but to work with, like with this fictional version of Belt here back in July. So we're just going to check some answers in step 1. And then once again, we would be able to enter that meeting attendance. And then we're going to submit that one to Dell. So the summer reports where there's no classes are much quicker. Now, so the monthly reports, they open up on the last day of the month. One exception to that is at the end of the school year, either in July or for some classes that can be in May, they'll open up 1 week before that last day of class. And then they're due on the 15th of the following month. And that does it for our ELMS demonstration of submitting the monthly reports to Dell.
Thanks, Will. So thanks everybody for joining us. If you have any questions or about your A19 or your ELMS monthly report, please feel free to contact us here at Dell. You can email the ECAP inbox if you have questions about your A19, or you can email your assigned pre-K specialist. The email for the inbox is ecap@del.wa.gov. Or if you have an ELMS question, go ahead and email elms@del.wa.gov. Thank you so much for joining us, and have a happy time filling out your A19s and your monthly reports this year.